Good morning, fellow Gooners. Sire, aka the Mancunian. Give me a follow on Twitter. Oh, what a difference a day makes. 24 little hours. Oh, I was on my knees praying for God yesterday, but thanks, boys. You've cheered me right up. 'Cause we've gone and rocked right through the Europa to Baku. Ober and Lacquer are on fire. Oh Lord, we're gonna rock right through the Europa to Baku. Ober and Lacquer are on fire. Oh Lord. I hope you enjoyed my Theresa May dance there. Oh God, I'm feeling it this morning, people. I'm gonna spread some love. A little bit of hate, Gotta sneak it in there, but oh, thanks, boys. See, this is what you can do to me. This is how happy you make a fat-headed little mank. You know, when you play like that. I'm always grinning and smiling, and I hate when I'm not feeling it. Anyone who knows me personally knows I'm that. A lot of people call me the Joker because this is always. Look at this face. It's been like this since I was born. I'm a happy, smiley guy naturally, and I hate feeling miserable. Some people say to me I'm negative. I'm not. For me, a lot of the time, I won't let somebody piss on my head and tell me it's raining. I don't like the phrase, but I'll call a spade a spade. I'll just call it how I see it. Like Ray Walker, say what you see, and if you see it, say it. That's me all over as a person. I don't mix my words. I'm straight to the point. People say, "Oh, I'm negative. This, I'm negative." Guys, there's two things that I never want to have to ever do. One is badmouth our players, and two is fall out with other Gooners. Not in a million years, but sometimes you have to question things, and I'm not afraid to stand up and do that. Let's get into it. Last night, some of you know I was on my knees before last night. My confidence was low. And rightly so, like a lot of Gooners, you can say, oh, we'll be optimistic and all the rest of it. You've got to have a reason to feel like that. And apart from loving the club, we've not been given much of one of late. I don't have any bad feelings. It'd be hypocritical of me anyway, but I don't have any bad feelings to anyone that felt very nervy about last night. But the nerves were quashed before half time. But I was nervous, and I asked some of you guys to fire me some abuse, tell me I'm a war-beheaded absolute plank that needs to get, stick a mampon in and sort my life out, and thank you to some of you that did, because it worked. That's all I needed. Maybe I've found out that I've got some sort of weird sexual orientation where, I like to be, say my name, bitch, say my name, and I like, I like being called nasty names. I don't know, but it's what I needed, just somebody to say, "All right, dickhead, sort your head out, go and give your head a wobble, mate." We're in a Europa League semi-final, and we've got a nice aggregate lead. Chill, the boys got this. And some of them did last night. I was happy. I'm not going to get completely carried away and say that life's brilliant and we're going to storm the league next year off the back of it, because that's certainly not the case. But there was definite reasons to be very optimistic last night, which I'll get into. A couple of things first and foremost. Unai, I love the fact that, although there's players in that team last night that I'm not a fan of, and you guys know that I'm not a fan of, and if we were to improve next year and really step it up from where we are this year, they've got to go for me. But Unai picked what no one can deny was our strongest team last night. Apart from players that are away on loan or out injured, it's as good as it gets for us. So there was none of that shit after the game last night, no matter what way the result went. And people, for me, unfairly criticising Unai. He's doing an unreal job, in my opinion. And I love the style of play that he's trying to create at the club, because that's how modern football is. It's energetic, it's high paced, it's an entire team as a unit moving up and down the field. And for me, just sadly, we don't have the personnel to pull it off, which I'm going to get into a bit further down the line. But he can't do any more, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, he's not faultless. He has been, some of the things he's done, I have questioned. Something else I'm going to get into in a minute. But on a whole, he's doing an incredibly good job, as far as I'm concerned. And I did not expect for us to be in a Europa League final at the end of this year. I hoped we could be, and I hoped we could hit top 4. One of those sadly hasn't happened. Maybe they both don't happen, maybe one does happen, but I can't complain. I have seen some progress, not as much as I want to, but shit can't happen overnight. There was no way he was gonna, the old phrase, if you can put a bit of glitter on a turd and it's still a turd, and I think he's turned our turd with a bit of glitter on it into a fairly attractive proposition. We can't go thinking, like say, we're going to storm the league next year, or we're going to piss the Champions League if we get there. But with this guy, I'm a lot more confident than I was under Wenger last year. As much as I loved Arsene, his time, we've suffered as a consequence of us not being ruthless and letting him go on his terms and what have you. We should have been cutthroat, and we weren't. But let's get away from that. Unai, it was a big help having him last night. I've been to the Mestalla and watched the game there, and it's a daunting atmosphere there. But he's managed there. He's well aware of what we were walking into last night, and I think that must have been a big help to the boys. Is he, as far as I'm concerned, he must have been saying to the lads, look, you're going to get a hostile reception tonight, and you're going to need to be on the ball from the whistle. And we weren't, but we grew into the game. Confidence grew. So another tick on the CV for Unai, and his Europa League record. You can say, well, it's a Europa and it's not Champions League. Well, you can only win what you're in, and when he's been in it, he's won it. So big credit to him, and I think he's been a breath of fresh air this year for me. Like I say, it's not been faultless, but it's been 90% good as far as I'm concerned. And another big thing from last night, the fans, you guys that made the effort, you spend your hard-earned money and travelled over there last night. Because I could hear you a lot last night, and I didn't think I would be able to because I knew they'd make a racket. But, I could hear, Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. And I thought, go on, guys, go on. Oh, you're full of fucking sangria and paella and fucking enjoying yourselves to the max, and it looked like you were. And I wanted to see loads of pale, pasty, scrawny, bald-chested men swinging their shirts. Like, even the girls, get your brow up, come on, Arsenal. I wanted to see whatever, get joined in, kids, adults, animals, vegetables, whatever, anyone enjoying themselves last night. And it looked like you guys did, and the team gave you a reason to, so it's all good in my world this morning. Let's get into the team. It's a tricky one to start off with Czech, because I've been saying, guys, I've said it for years on certain players, we're not Sentiment FC, we're Arsenal FC, and we've got to look after number one, like in your own personal life. You can't look after anyone else unless you're looking after yourself. And I don't think you should play in the final. I've said it for weeks, he shouldn't be playing because he's not our best goalkeeper. Yes, he's done all right in there, and people saying, well, he can't play against Chelsea, he's going back there as a coach, and he's a Chelsea legend, not an Arsenal legend. He's played in 3 finals for us guys against Chelsea, and he's played well in most of them. But he's not our best keeper, he's not close to it. And for me, as cruel as it might be, and as harsh as it might seem, it's not his testimonial. It's a Europa League, it's a European final with a chance to us to get our only chance to get in Champions League. And there's only one thing that's got to happen for me. I don't think it will. I think Unai's going to back him, and he is going to play in the final. But for me, his send-off should be at Burnley with the kids, and he gets a round of applause and a lap of honour or whatever there. And the Europa is left for our strongest 11, and I'm sorry he's not part of it, not even close. He was all right last night, but he wasn't brilliant. I thought he could have done a lot better with that second goal. He just flat tired. For me, he shit out thinking he was going to get walloped by their player, and he took his eye off the ball and completely flat tired. It was shite, but he was fairly solid apart from that. He's a 6. Not a great deal to say. And I seen him talking this morning, last night. Posting pictures of Chelsea and Arsenal and saying this is my destiny. Or it shouldn't be his destiny. It should be Arsenal's destiny, not his. And I do think Unai should be, cruel, but for the benefit of the club and our future, by bombing him out for the final. That's just, I know a lot of people ain't going to like that, and he hasn't done much wrong, but he's not as good as Leno, and that's just how it is for me. We can't have a keeper who we're all saying he's bordering on world class this year, pulling us out the shit week in, week out, making 2 or 3 world class saves a year, and then not playing him in a final for a goalkeeper who, he hasn't blown me away once this year. Yes, he's been solid when he fills in, but solid, that's it, and that's not good enough. Not when our entire season depends on this one game. But we'll see. Like I say, I'm pretty sure Unai's going to stand by him no matter what, but it's not what I'd be doing. But hey, I'm not the one paid the big bucks to manage Arsenal, he is, so I'll stand by it even if I don't like it, and I'll support Czech no matter what. And maybe him being his last game, and how fitting it would be for him to lift the cup, playing Chelsea in a Europa League final, and maybe he will play better than Leno in the fight. It's all hypotheses, isn't it? It's all guesswork. But for me, when it comes down to just who's the best goalie, it's Leno. No brainer. But I thought he was a 6 last night. Getting to the defence, my boy Ainsley, guys. I told you at the start of the season, and if you go and watch my video from pre-season, I said Reece Nelson does a few step-overs and you're all saying, oh, he's world class, he's going to be the best winger in the world and all the rest of it. And I told you guys, you're sleeping on Ainsley, and he's the most ready youth player we have to step into the first team. And my boy, has he done a shit-hot job of it. Some of you have criticised him, and I've told you guys you should give him a ride this year because he's playing out of position. And like I've said, think about it logically. He's a midfielder. You put any of our other midfielders at right back, would they be performing as well as this kid week in, week out? No! Not even close. Not even close. And I couldn't stop feeling like a proud dad watching him last night. I honestly, he warms my heart. And I honestly mean that from the base of my soul. I love him. I absolutely love him. And I just feel like he's another player we're doing an injustice. Whereas I'm watching an absolute donkey in the middle of the park each week, and this kid is banging out great performances week in, week out. Yes, he's not faultless, he has put in a few stinkers, but they're on one hand compared to how many times, he's played this season. He's been unreal for me, absolutely unreal. When with what we've asked him to do, and Unai talked about him. In his dossier before he came, and I think even he must be surprised at how much he has matured and stepped up and done what he's asked. And Unai must think, who else would have given me what this lad's give if I'd have asked them to play right back all year? I'm not sure, guys. Laka is the only other player for me that would have put in a shift there, game in, game out. The only two for me that would have been capable of pulling it off. And like I say, just if you've got any criticism for him, think he's a midfielder. Stop judging him as a right back, judge him as a centre mid, box to box, and put one of our other centre mids at right back and tell me they'd be better. Not in a million years. I just love him. I love Ainsley. He started off shaky, but he's a young, inexperienced lad playing out of position, so I let him ride with that, and I just hope that he'd knuckle down and he'd get his head on, and he did. He was fabulous. And like I say, I watch him and I watch the way he plays, and I think he should be in the middle of the park. His energy, his dynamism, he can pass it about nicely, and he's got that link-up play in his game, and he can actually beat a man, and that's what we're missing in midfield. We don't have anyone that can run past a player. We've not got anybody. We need it, especially with Unai's style of play, this high-intensity game. People can say, well, but we've ran more than anyone else in the Premier League this year. And it's the reason why we've faltered, because we've got a weak squad and everyone's gassed out from it, and that's why we need more players like Ainsley that can keep pumping it out game in, game out, week in, week out, high intensity, high level football. And for me against Burnley, he's got to get a chance in the middle of the park. He deserves it. For me, he's earned the right to play wherever. If he said I want to play striker, we should play him there and give him the captain's armband, because he has been one of our best players this year, whether people want to admit it or not. Fuck your Xhakas, fuck anyone else. He's right up there, considering the job he's been tasked with. He has been absolutely sublime for me. And if it wasn't for Laka, he would be people are going to laugh, but I think he should have been a shout for Player of the Year. Honestly, for what he's been asked to do, like I say, you ask any other player to play out of position like he has and step up the way he has and be as good as he has, and replacing probably one of our most irreplaceable players in our team in Hector. Absolutely fabulous, mate. Double hat tip to you, lad. Absolutely stunning. And he was a 7 or 8 out of 10 for me last night, and great work in the build up to the goal. Loved it, absolutely loved it. And it made me also think, could he have done a job as a winger this year? If Hector hadn't got in, maybe utilised Ainsley out wide, because he can beat a man and he can whip a ball in. These are questions that I want answered next year, rather than keep playing him at right back. And it's why I've told you guys I think we need to get, whether it's Ossie Tutu or or we go and buy a backup left back, you know, a Max Aarons or somebody. We need to do it because this guy, it's not fair to him to keep playing him out of position. He has more than earned the right to get to play where he wants. You know, I'm not saying that's starting every week, but he's earned the right to get to play where he wants, whether it's just in cup games or not. He should be playing there. So I love you, Ainsley. Thank you, my man. 2 centre backs, Socrates, Koscielny. I didn't think they were brilliant last night. I didn't think much of the team was brilliant last night. I know a lot of you think we were excellent last night. I didn't. I just thought we had 2 world-class strikers playing world-class football, and it covered a multitude of sins for me. You know, these 2. No, I'm not going to badmouth them because they were solid. You know, 2 leaders, proper leaders, experienced leaders. You know, and they both are willing to put their head where people won't put their feet. And I thought they were both solid last night. And you know, we were shaky at the start, but that was going to happen no matter what, because they were going to throw everything at us early and try and get an early goal. And when they did, my heart sank, I'm not going to lie. And you know, like that Grand Theft Auto meme, that shit, here we go again. I did think, oh boys, you can't, you know, my heart did drop out of my ass. I thought, oh, we cannot, you know, and after watching what we've watched this week, I thought, we cannot do this, we cannot bottle this. You know, and God bless Oba for getting that goal, because it's just sucked the soul out of them. You know, and it made their task a very uphill one. But yeah, the 2 boys at the back, I thought they were solid without being exciting. You know, they're both capable of doing a job next year. It's just one of my biggest gripes about this team is athleticism, and we don't. If somebody on another team, they've got someone who can break through midfield, we can't stop it. You know, and the same in through a ball through the lines, through the channels. We've got no defenders that can catch up. So that's the one thing for me. If we're going to bring in a centre back, which I'm pretty sure we are, it needs to be someone athletic who's quick. You know, I don't want to say pace merchant, but it's got to be someone that's got a bit of something about him that can get back. You know, a Colo Torre, someone like that that's got the gears, that can get there. But yeah, you know, alternating these 2 with that person and Holding and Mavro, I think we're fairly solid at the back. And let's say these lads, I think they need to be used. They're getting on a bit, you know, they're not quite cashing the pensions yet, but they're getting on a bit. So they need to be used cleverly, you know, alternating game in game with somebody who's a solid centre back partner. And let's say whether that's Holding or another centre back that comes in, which I'm pretty sure we're going to do. That's what needs to happen for me. But these guys are definitely good players to alternate with next year. And like I say, solid last night, both get 7 out of 10s for me. Nacho, he's one of the low points for me last night. I don't want to keep banging on, guys, but I've saying it for ages. That ball over the top or in behind, and a player running off his shoulder, he's completely oblivious to it, and he doesn't have the pace anymore to recover. And twice last night he was at fault, in my opinion. The first goal, he didn't even know that player was on his shoulder. He didn't once look to see if there was anyone there, because he's just not got it in him, guys. I don't want to be horrible, but he's just not got it in him. It's just a harsh reality. I'm not going to call him, or you know, he's got to go. And you know, the second one he played everybody on side. He's just daydreaming. He's just not got it in him, guys. You can call me harsh, you can call me a wanker, but it's just you know, the truth hurts. You know, and he's not a good squad player when you consider the money he's on. A lot of you have a strange idea of a good squad player. You know, I've had this argument with you now for years about Welbeck. He's not a good squad player because he's on first team wages and he's not good enough to be in the first team. That's the definition to me of a terrible squad player. Someone getting too much money to not be in the first team. A good squad player to me is a youth player or somebody that's not quite established yet, that's on a small amount of money, that can be good enough for the first team, not someone who you know definitely isn't. And my same comments apply to those 2. Xhaka, you know, a lot of you are finally realising this guy is detrimental to our football going forward, and the future as a club, rather than him actually being a big part of the way we play. If he's a big part of the way we play, we ain't progressing next year, and that's just how it is for me. And he's on too much money to be a squad player, and he's another reason he's got to go. But anyway, yeah, Nacho, 5 out of 10 for me last night. He was average. He sorted it out a little bit, and you know, I'm not saying he's a terrible defender, but he's nowhere near good enough, guys. He's not. And you know, if we were in the Champions League with this defence, you know, with him as a part of a free, we'd be getting our arses handed to us. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Kolasinac, guys, you know I'm a fan of him. You know, yes, he does have his negatives when it comes to defending, and he's not brilliant, but he just puts a shift in. You know, and before he went off last night, he had the most tackles and interceptions of anyone in our team. I think that was the stat. And I thought he was a 6 or 7 out of 10 again last night. I thought he was just really solid. To laugh at that picture at the end of the game, everyone else is like, he's all right. Your name's not down, you're not coming in, you can't. And I just like him. He's as wide as he is tall. No wonder they call him the Serbian Hulk. And I think he's another one who can do a job next year. I like him in that back five. I'm just not keen on him in a back four. And that's why for me Nacho's got to go, and we need a first team left back. Kieran Tierney screams at me all day, or him or Grimaldo, two obvious candidates that wouldn't cost us the earth, that would be a huge upgrade, and would give us the option then to, when we do change tactics like we know Emery likes, we've got someone for all occasions. And like I say, Nacho for me is the fall guy and the obvious one to go. He's getting on. This getting him to sign a 1-year extension, so he's got some sell-on value. Guys, we're going to get 10 million for him if we're lucky, and then we've got to watch him play for another year. I'd rather just let him go now for free and just get his wages off the books. I really would, but that's me personally. So that was our defence. It was pretty solid as a unit. Not spectacular and pretty clumsy. It's like my issues with Czech. He faced 3 shots on target last night, 2 went in. It's just not great, is it? It's not for great reading. And like I say, it was only for our 2 strikers being world class last night that I think covered up the fact that we weren't great at the back or in midfield. But anyway, let's get on to the midfield. Torreira, little old tenacious Torreira. He's only 3 foot high. He comes from Uruguay. Torreira. Whoa. I love him. Like I say, my only downside to him is he's not got any pace, but the way he reads the game and intercepts and breaks up play, and it was key to some of our goals last night. He's fabulous at it. And because he has no top-end pace, it's why, for me, it makes it even more obvious that we need somebody next to him, box to box, that's got an engine. I keep referencing a Yaya Toure, a Patrick Vieira, a Decore, and a Ndombele, Rabiot. We need somebody like that can get up and down all game. That when somebody does burst through the middle of the park, if Torreira's not on it, somebody else can catch up and fucking bully him off the ball, and we haven't got it. But like I said to you guys at the start of the season, he's like a little Jack Russell when pushes the post through the door. Just on it. And he's got to play at the base of midfield for me, and we've got to get Chambers or Bellick in as backup to him, playing as a centre defensive midfielder to give him a break. And then if we're playing free in midfield, we need 2 box-to-box players either side of him, pounding up and down, creating chances. And I'd go for one more defensive-minded. So Decore and Maddison, just as a quick example, that sort of mix. And Ndombele and Debake or whatever, that sort of mixture, where they can both get up and down, but one's a bit more defensive-minded, one's a bit more attacking-minded, and just Torreira sat deep knocking it about. That for me is the dream for next year. And then if we've got we play 4-4-2, which I think we're going to have to accommodate both of our beautiful strikers, we then would need a box-to-box just to sit in deep next to Torreira. Let's get on to him. He's partner in crime, Xhaka. You guys know I'm not a fan. I'm not going to start lambasting him and calling him names. That's not my style. He's not good enough. He's really not good enough. What a lot of you defend him on, that come and call me nasty names and, say terrible things about my family in my DMs. But you've all been very quiet for the last few weeks. Am I surprised? No, I am not. Because the guy's giving you no reason to have faith in him. All you've ever been able to come back at me with is that he passes the ball about nice. Well, last night, honestly, in the first 10 minutes, I wanted him hooked already because he gave the ball away so many times, and it's not like he's doing it trying to spray 40-yard balls. It was him playing 4-yard passes. His head's gone. He's not good enough, and I think he knows himself. He's not up to it. I don't think he. I think he's got faith in himself as a player, like a lot of people have to, but I think it's false. I think he actually knows he ain't up to it, and that's just my opinion. And he's not someone that, look at. A lot of this team have to look at themselves and, look at Laka, who puts it in, week and then look at Ober, how he put it in last night. How many of this team can honestly look at themselves and go, I've got that in me. I've got that in me. If I want to carry this team one night, I can do it. This guy certainly doesn't have it in him. I'm impressed if he can carry 2 bottles of lemonade home from the shop. He couldn't carry fuck all. And he's got to go for me. He's the very first sacrificial lamb to the slaughter for me. Some of you telling me he's really good. Well, let's see who'd give us 50, 30, 40, 50 million for him. No one. I'll be impressed if we could get 30 million for him. But I think we should go and get 30 million for him. You know, I've been saying it for weeks. If Rabiot's available for free, he's an instant upgrade, and then we'd have 30 million for Xhaka to pump into a winger, or you know, another area of the pitch where we're a bit dry. He's just like I say. You guys tell me, you know, he's passing, and I've said, well, that's the only thing he's got. But he can't pass under pressure. You know, his positioning is terrible. He's got no top end. He's got no change of gears. His temperament is garbage. You know, people who said he's a captain material, fucking, like I said, I'd rather have Captain Birdseye Pugwash than as captain than this guy, Captain Kanish. Yeah, just laughable. He's got to go for me. Got to go. I don't think he will, but he's, again, some of you have finally said to me, yeah, you're probably right. He's not good enough. But he'd be a good squad player. Well, no, he wouldn't, because he's on first team wages. We know he's not good enough for the first team, so he's a terrible squad player. He's someone that we can get rid of. You guys tell me he's good, so let's get some good money for him and move on. And a big thing again last night is how much he slows our play down. You know, we can get a good counter attack. Terrera wins the ball back, gives it to Xhaka, and then he instantly, it's like beep, 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 because he turns like a canal badge. Beep, beep. And then he looks back to the centre backs or to the wing backs, and it's like, mate, where's this 4-yard pass you've got in the locker? You know, where's this? Just whipping it down the line, and we've got somebody running after it. You know, we had two strikers playing the tits off last night, and he's still not picking them out, and he's still not looking forward, because he's just not got it, guys. He's not got it. I'm not going to keep going on. He was a fucking 3 out of 10 for me last night. How he stayed on, I just don't know. I really don't. You know, I can only put it down to Terrera getting booked. I'd just give up with him. I'm not going to keep going on. That's it. Mesut, he was meh. Ozil last night for me, just meh. He was decent, you know, and but he should be great, you know. And when you've got two players who were his supporting cast last night, you know, who were fucking giving it 10 out of 10, that's where he should be inspired, and he's still not enough for me. And like I say, going forward with Unai's style of play, this high intensity football, you know, and look at the other teams that are good this year, City, Liverpool, they move as a unit, up and down, athletic, high intensity, pacey. We don't have the fucking personnel for it. I love Mesut. I think he's a great player, and I'm sad we never built a team around him, but we didn't, and we are where we are now, and he's on the money he's on. He's got to go for me. Him, Mustafi, Nacho, and Xhaka are 4 players that have just got to go. Mickey as well. Those 5 are the 5 that we... Keep Jenko, keep Lichtsteiner. I'm not arsed. These are the guys that are a big amount of our money, and why we've got no money to spend, and they're not doing enough. These guys should be pulling out. You know, Xhaka is in a key position. Ozil is in a key position. They should be capable of 8 out of 10s most weeks. You know, look at other teams. Jordan Henderson is doing 8 out of 10. Wijnaldum, you know, fucking hell, these guys should be capable of it, and they're not, guys, and it's just the sad reality of it. I'm not a negative, I'm not a hater, I just see it how I see it. They're just not up for it. And for his style of play, we need, like I say, we need 2 dynamic midfielders just sat in front of Terrera, and these 2 aren't it, sadly. Mesut, he was a 6 last night. I'm not going to hammer him. It just isn't enough for me. I'm not seeing enough. You know, as our flagship player, he's not the flag bearer. He's really not. Lacazette is. So that's it for me on Mesut. Let's get to the 2, but the real difference last night, and the only difference for me from our recent performances, because like I said, I didn't think the rest of the team was great. It was just that our 2 world-class players were both world-class last night. You know, Laka doesn't get the appreciation. You know, a lot of people ranting and raving about Oba last night, but that's the first time Oba's doing what Laka's been doing all fucking season. So that performance should make you appreciate Laka more if you're appreciating Oba this morning, last night. It should make you really fall in love with this guy if you haven't already. You know, and after the whistle went last, I was in a bit in shell shock at what I'd seen, because I was fucking electric last night. It was I was really not prepared for that shit. I'd welded a seatbelt to my fucking couch if I thought that was coming. You know, I proper needed strapping in and, you know, putting on a drip, because I did not see that coming at all. You know, and I wish I'd have been in the changing rooms when those boys came off the pitch last night, because I'd have said, Laka, over here, lads, need a quick pep talk with you. Stand there. Just sucked the pair of them dry last night, I would have done, and I've not got a little bit of gay in me at all. Just I'd have done rude things to the pair of them. Like Laka, you know, he's just a beautiful caramel man, and I would let that man impregnate me all day long. I would definitely carry his babies and I'd ask for no child support. He's done enough for me. I just love him. He's the only player in this squad that I really identify with. That, you know, I say it for ages, guys. I've not felt a love to some of these players for a long time. Him and Ainsley are two of the only ones for me that really, you know, they get me fucking hard when I watch, and I just think, you know, like I've been saying for weeks, guys, if we had 11 lackers, we'd be close to the top of the league. Well, we had 2 last night, and look how good we were. You know, and like I say, when those two can play like that, it covers a multitude of sins in the rest of the squad. And you know, Oba, you know, guys, I've been saying he's underwhelmed me for a long time, but you can't argue with his goals. It's just if the goals dried up, you know, I fear for him. He's last 2 games for me. He has really stepped to the front and gone, I want this trophy. I ain't come here to play Europa League and win fuck all. I win, and look at my boy here. You know, I'm doing him a disservice because he is pulling his tripe out week in, week out. And you know, like I say, when both of those two are putting in Lacaz's effort, it's frightening. One thing I noticed with Oba, like I say, for me, his 2 best performances this season, regardless of goals, just work rate and energy, have come in the last 2 games. And I've started to think, it's very coincidental that this is tied in with this nasal problem thing that he's had an operation for or whatever. And I've been thinking, has he been running not being able to... I know some of you are going to laugh and go, fuck me, you've dug deep here, but, you know, and you're clutching, but has it been something to do with this nasal problem? Has he been not able to breathe properly all season? Because he's got that zest back, he's got that pace, that electric pace, and I ain't seen that all season. You know, and the ability to ghost past a player, you know, and use his pace properly. I've only seen it in the last couple of weeks all season, and he does look like that Dortmund player that I thought we were getting. You know, the goals have been there. You can't question the man on that. He has scored like a world-class striker all year, but his all-round play involved in the lineup, you know, and but the last 2 games he's been faultless for me, and he was a fucking definite 10 out of 10 last night, no 2 ways about it. Same as Laka for me. I think Laka was a 10 out of 10 last night, and you know, I said it last night, and a few people were sort of 2 of the best centre forwards performances I've ever seen in my life as an Arsenal fan. And you know, I've had the pleasure of watching, you know, some fucking insanely good centre forwards at this club live on TV, whatever, you know. Been a real pleasure, and that felt like a pleasure last night. You know, I felt like when I saw Messi put 4 in past us, you know, and I watched fucking Thierry get an hat-trick at Portsmouth and everybody stood up and applauded. That's what it felt like last night. The entire ground should have gone, fair shits to you, that was something else. Absolutely unreal. But it then brings me back to the Oba's 29, Laka's 27, and it made me feel like the whole Mesut Sanchez situation again when we brought these 2 guys in, and it was right. We've got 2 world-class players. Build a fucking team round them fast. Make use of them. We don't want to get 3 years down the line and they're both just peaking and going past the prime, and we're going, well, we got to a Carabao Cup final 2 years ago. It's not going to be good enough, guys. And you know, whether you put it down to Stan investment or whatever, I've never, you know, seen the correlation between spending big money and getting the right players. It's just having the proper recruitment team and getting, you know, identifying the right players. You know, whether that, you know, like I say, look at Rabiot is a perfect example. He might not be your favourite choice for a centre midfielder, but he's free. You know, and like my mate popped a question to me the other night after the Ajax game, and I'd been talking about Ziyech anyway because I've been a fan for a while. You know, and we could go and get Rabiot and Ziyech for probably 200 grand a week in wages, which we've already freed up with Ramsey and Cech and Welbs going. You know, so we'd still be saving money, and we'd only be laying out 25 million euros, guys. You know, we get rid of Mustafi, who, you know, I heard a bit of noise last night from one of my mates that this team's willing to pay 20 to 30 million euros from him. Mustafi out, these 2 in, and then look, we'd still have our entire budget to get in a centre-back. So you've got to put your own personal preferences to one side. Rabiot isn't my first choice. You know, in a dream world, he's not my first choice, but he's high up there and he's free. You know, and he's someone who'd have residual value where, you know, we're complaining we've got no money. Well, these are the sort of deals we need to be doing then, guys, because if it doesn't work out, we've got a £50 million player that's all profit. You know, if you take his wages out of it, you know, it's all profit, guys, and you've got to start thinking with more of a business head than just a FIFA, well, I want Ronaldo and Messi on either wing, you know, and back down the middle. It's not, it's real life, guys. It's not FIFA, it's not Champ Manager. You know, you've got to work with the restrictions you have, and that's what Unai's got to do. So I think, we could bring in Ziyech and Rabiot for 25 million euros, and then we'd have the rest of our budget to bring in another winger, possibly another centre mid, a left back, and a centre back. And for me, it'd be a left back and a centre back first and foremost, and then if there was anything left in the pot. But this is the sort of thing we've got to be looking at. I've been saying it for ages. Middle of the park is our real weakness. You can call on our defence, but our defence aren't terrible, guys. They're not. They're all decent players. It's in our midfield that we get walked through, and our only support of our defence is Torreira. And it's like people calling out Ainsley for last night, and he had a ropey start to the game. Yeah, why did he have a ropey start to the game? Because he was only him defending Guedes and Gaia, and they are both quick players that are up and down. And that's why I had to give him credit again last night, because he was batting that off by himself. And do you know the only person two people who realised he needed big help are two strikers. It was our two strikers digging out our right back. I mean, how embarrassing is that? It's great to see, but it shouldn't be happening. It should be our midfielders. And like I say, for Unai's style of play, for me, like I say, we've got to have Torreira sat as a centre defensive mid, and then Chambers or Bellic replacing him when he's, he needs a rest, or he's not fit, he's suspended or whatever, or in cup competitions. And then we've got two box-to-box midfielders either side, pounding up and down, athletic, pacey. We've got to have that. But I'd have one sort of defensive-minded one and one attacking-minded. So just off the top of my head, if you just had a sort of Decore and a Maddison, or an Ndombele and a debate, that sort of chemistry, that sort of mixture is what we need. And then two proper wingers, so we can accommodate our two world-class players who are our two strikers. They've got to play together as a two. So as a 4-4-2, two genuine wingers, a box-to-box next to Torreira in the middle of the park, and we've got these two lads up front. Or we switch to a three up front, and then we've got three dynamic midfielders, Torreira sat deep, two box-to-box, and then we get a sort of winger/striker to just alternate, and we have a fluid three between that person, Laka and Oba. That's the way it's got to work for me, if we actually want to progress. But like I say, these guys are going to be in the peak, and that's why shit's got to happen fast, and the axe needs to get swung quickly, guys. I know some of you, we can't get rid of 6 players this window. We've got to. It's not whether we can or we can't. It has to happen. If we're depending again next year on Mustafi, Nacho, Xhaka, Ozil, Mickey, Iwobi, we're fucked, guys. It's 4th to 6th is as realistic as you can expect, and another run in the Europa League. If that's the sort of squad we've got going in the Champions League next year, I'll be impressed if we get out of the group stage. It's just how it is. And like I say, I know a lot of you have these detachment issues with players that you've got some sort of love and affinity for them, and they've never done anything to repay your love. Not even close. And you've got to learn to move on. I've said it for years, guys. I'm cold. I am cold because all I care about is Arsenal. I don't give a fuck about the players. When it comes down to it, no player is bigger than this club. It's all about the club for me. I support Arsenal, not Lacazette FC, not Ozil FC, not Xhaka FC, Arsenal. And it ain't Sentiment FC. And, I said, I love Jack, I love Santi. Santi's played a lot of games this year. Could we have done with keeping him? Yes. Was it a clever financial football decision to keep him? No. Hindsight, yes. Now, yes. Back then, no. It made sense to get rid of him because we couldn't have been paying someone 100 grand a week to play 6 games a year, same as Jack. We got rid of Jack, and people, this is it, proper Arsenal. He's gone. We brought in a £7 million 19-year-old from French League 2, who's now worth €70 million apparently. And no one's mentioned fucking Jack since July. This is it, guys. I know change is scary, but if you don't make changes, you stand still. And for me, standing still and getting stagnant is more scary than anything. In life and our club. So that's for me why things have got to change and got to change fast. And I do believe there'll be money. I've got a lot of anger towards Kroenke, but mine's more personally in that he's never at the games. I want somebody that loves the club, who's a fan, not just a businessman. And I don't put it down to just money, because you can't say we've had no investment. You've got to just look at the fair play stuff. It's all good and well saying City were doing this, PSG are doing that. Yeah, but they're getting fined for it, guys. Chelsea just got found out. We've got to act within the laws, whether you like it or not. There's just no, the way the club's been run, you know, the wages, the deals that have been done for certain players that we've identified that aren't good enough. You know, like I say, Mustafi and Jack are 70 million quid for the pair of them, and they're both on 100 grand a week. That's fucking awful business, guys. Awful. And that's the reason we're in the mess we are in. It's not down to Crunker not spending money. It's because we've pissed away what we've had. But you have got reasons to be optimistic, because all right, you know, in January I think if we'd have been able to, was the problem. I don't think we could get anybody out to free up some money because we were at our limit already. But if we could have just got a couple of players in at Christmas, I think it could have really made the difference and helped us solidify top four. Didn't happen. We didn't get top four. You know, people saying, "Oh, Suarez was the worst deal ever." Yeah, now in hindsight, but he was really the only deal Unai could do, and I thought he did well to manage to talk Barca into letting us have him for free and on loan. And it's just a shame he got injured, because I think you know, we've been crying out for a sort of attacking midfielder. Now Ramsey's gone down and a winger, and he could have been both. So it's great with, you know, hindsight FC are chirping up, but you can't blame Unai for that. You know, his hands were tied. He tried, he got a player in, thought he'd make a difference, he's got injured, he hasn't. That's just the shit reality of it. But, you know, you look at the other windows, you know, there's reasons to be optimistic, guys. Oba came in, we spent good money on him. Laka came in, we spent good money on him. And then we've done some incredible business in the last window, you know. Socrates, whether you love him or hate him, we just paid reasonable money for him. Leno we've come out on the right side of, and he's been stunning this year. Torreira is exactly what we've all been crying out for years. You know, we paid a very fair fee for him. Guendouzi, now it looks like we're well in the black on that one. You know, it's not all down to dough, guys. It's not, and like I say, it doesn't correlate me. You know, 100 million. It gives you more of a chance of getting a brilliant player, but it doesn't guarantee it. And you know, like I say, you look at, you know, just at goalkeepers this year, Kepa 70 million, Alisson 70 million. Well, we went and spent 20 and got pretty much as good of a goalkeeper. I think he's better than Kepa, just not that far, and he's not that far behind Alisson. You know, and it was 50 million we saved on that. So it's not all about spending big dough, guys. It's about good scouting, good recruitment, and identifying the right type of player. And I think that's what a big problem Wenger had is between him and Gazidis. The players that are now costing us are the ones they identified, and too many one-trick ponies. That's what was my issue with Wenger near the end. I've got one guy for this, I've got one guy for that, I've got one guy for this. And what you need is guys that can do everything. You know, like I say, the comparison between Xhaka and Torreira. Torreira can do everything Xhaka can. Xhaka can't do half the things Torreira can. So why don't we go and get another Torreira? None of you can argue with that, because it's fucking facts, and they're right there in front of your face, guys. But that's it. You know, looking at the team, and you know, like I say, the two lads up front last night were absolutely stellar for me. The work, you know, like I say, Laka's been doing that all season for me. He's been head and shoulders above anyone else. For, you know, it would have been an injustice if he'd have got player of the season, not got player of the season, should I say? And it was nice to see somebody else sort of step up and stand shoulder to shoulder with him and go. Like I've been saying, if we had 11 of him, we'd be a really good side. And it was nice that we had 2 of him last night, and it made a big difference. And it's the only reason why we went through. You know, people were saying these 2 are carrying us. I said it. People were like, well, yeah, but the strikers, they're meant to carry us. Yeah, but it wasn't just the goals. It's the work rate and the ethic and that fucking charismatic style that, you know, gets everyone pumped. You know, even if it's just a little, the celebration, you know, it just gets that good feeling going. And I don't feel that about most of the rest of the squad, and I'm sure the rest of you feel the same. It's not, like I say, you look, if you want to argue with me this morning, go back and look through our team and our squad and look at those performances from them two, you know, what we've been getting from Laka all year and what we got from Oba last night, and look at the rest of them and say, how many players are capable of doing that, of getting the rest of the team and going on the back, on the shoulders, and fucking carrying them for 90 minutes. There isn't any, guys, and that's a big fucking problem. And that's why I don't really have a ton of love for many other players in the squad, and why I would happily sacrifice any of them if it was for the better of the team and progression as a club. And that's it for me, guys. You know, looking forward, it's all on Baku now. It's Baku or bust, isn't it? We've got to win that game. And you know, I've got faith in us to get a result there. We've done well against Chelsea this year. We've been to Baku already playing carrier bag this year, so you know, we've got a little advantage there. You know, people laugh and go, oh, you know, you're digging there, mate, you're clutching, but it's not. You know, just these lads knowing the routine that they'll go through, you know, the travel, the hotel, you know, the little creature comforts at the hotel, you know, where I can go to get my favourite meal, or you know, a bottle of water, or whatever it is, you know, fucking pina colada, whatever it is. These lads will already know. So I give a little bit of credence to those little, you know, finite details. You know, Emery, been here, done it. You know, Sarri hasn't. You know, that's a big bonus. You know, we've got a lot of things. The way we've played against Chelsea, take out the second game of the season, we've done well against them this year. You know, so I'm optimistic now going into this final, and I think we should all be. And you know, if these lads can't get up for a European final, whether you look at it and it's not the Champions League or not, if they can't get up for it, guys, I am at a loss then, and the axe definitely needs to get swung. But that's it for me, guys. That's what I've been sort of looking at and thinking about. You know, I got up this morning like Mr. Soft. I was like, bow. I just felt good, you know, brushing my teeth like, and dead happy, you know, combing my hair like, yeah boy, I look like the badass, I'm looking like the shit, man. It just made me feel good about myself, and that's what I love about football and what I love about Arsenal is when, you know, I don't expect us to win and play magnificent football every week, but when my players put a shift in and they give us shit, I don't care if we get beat 10-0. That's just how things are sometimes. But when they put in a shift, like, I've got no complaints. I really don't. And that's what was beautiful about watching that from our strikers last night, is that, wow, like I say, I still feel shell-shocked from it now, and I'm going to be enjoying it all weekend. Reasons to be cheerful, guys. You know, it's not all doom and gloom, is it? It's not all doom and gloom. And like I say, some of these lads have got it in them when they want to. They have got it in them to carry us. That's it for me, guys. I know it's been a long one, but you know, there's plenty of stuff to talk about, and I hope I've not waffled too much. I'm going to look to do a little end of the season Gunner Talk. You know, if any of you guys give a fuck, I don't even know if anyone watches this or not. Probably been doing it to myself all year, but who cares? That's not the reason. It's just to get my thoughts and feelings out there, maybe give some of you a different take on, you know, what you feel and what you think about the club, whether you disagree or not. I'm going to do a little Q&A maybe. You know, if you guys want to ask me anything personal, ridiculous, serious about the club, about anything, get your questions over to me, guys. You might want to know, you know, what sheet ply I use toilet paper, how many sheets I use to wipe my ass, what technique of folding it do I go for, you know, what would be my favourite soup of the day, you know, or if it's about who would be my top choices for signings this year, whatever it is, guys, please drop them in here or hit me up on Twitter. You know, at PsychoMank, and let's get some good feeling built, you know, over the summer. And like I say, this is a massive summer for us where we've got to do some good business. Not necessarily spend a lot of money, just get the right type of players, and it's got to happen now for me. That's it, guys. I'm going to go and leave you to have an absolutely lovely weekend, and I hope you've got a big smile on your dial. Psy signing out.